Gamete formation. In order for fertilization to occur, gametes must be formed. The process of gamete formation is known as gametogenesis, and it takes place in the gonads, that is, the testes and the ovaries. The formation of sperms, also known as spermatogenesis, occurs in the testes. It begins at puberty in an individual, that is at the age of between 10 to 14 years, depending on the individual. Spermatogenesis occurs in the seminiferous tubules of the testes by a process of meiosis under the influence of a number of hormones. Once produced, a mature human sperm looks like this. It has three distinct parts. There is a head, middle piece, and the tail. The sperm is one of the most specialized cells in the human body, and it has the following adaptive features. One, the head is oval in shape. This makes it streamlined and hence can easily swim faster. The head also has an acrosome. Acrosome contains lytic enzymes that dissolve the egg membranes during fertilization. The head also has a nucleus that is haploid. The haploid nucleus carries the male genetic materials, that is, the chromosomes. The middle piece has numerous mitochondria and respiratory enzymes to produce energy for the swimming, because sperms move to where the ova is by swimming, and swimming requires a lot of energy. This energy is made available by the numerous mitochondria present in the middle piece. The middle piece also has filaments that enable the tail to lash from side to side, thus propelling it. Then the tail is the longest part of the sperm, and it lashes from side to side, thereby propelling it forward during the swimming movement. Sperm formation takes place in the testes, as I have mentioned, and once produced, the mature sperms are released out of the body, where, should they be deposited in the female's reproductive tract, then they fuse with the ovum to bring about fertilization. Ova formation, on the other hand, also known as oogenesis, takes place in the ovaries. Unlike spermatogenesis, which begins at puberty, oogenesis begins before birth and then stops. Then it resumes at puberty. Once formed, a mature ovum is released into the fallopian tube, and it looks like this. It has the following features. This is a mature human ovum. It has the following structural features. There is a nucleus that is haploid, which carries the genetic materials in the form of chromosomes. It has a cytoplasm that contains organelles such as centrioles, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, rough endoplasmic reticulum. The cytoplasm also contains food reserves in the form of yolk proteins, which provides nutrients during the early stages of development. Now, the human ovum does not contain as much food reserves as in the case of, say, the oviparous eggs, like the eggs of birds that contain a lot, because the embryo develops outside the body, so the food reserves are quite substantial. But in the case of the human, the food reserves in the cytoplasm, though present, is not as much. So it provides the nutrients during the early stages of development before the embryo is implanted in the uterus. Then there is a vitelline membrane, because enclosing the cytoplasm, there is a plasma membrane, and then to the outside of the plasma membrane, there is a vitelline membrane. It prevents the entry of more sperms once the first one has entered. It's also known as the fertilization membrane. Once a sperm has entered the ovum, then this vitelline membrane gets transformed and forms a barrier that prevents the entry of more sperms. Then to the outside of the vitelline membrane, there is a jelly-like glycoprotein layer known as the zona pellucida. The function of this jelly-like glycoprotein layer is to prevent the entry of sperms from different species. It's only the human sperms that can penetrate this zona pellucida. So likewise, if it is a goat ovum, it's only the sperms of a goat that can penetrate the zona pellucida of the goat's ovum, and not, say, a sheep's sperm. This way, interspecific fertilization is prevented. So even though two closely related mammals may mate, but fertilization is made impossible because of the zona pellucida layer. Then the outermost layer of an ovum is known as the corona radiata. This corona radiata consists of a layer of follicle cells. So it is a layer of follicle cells, these ones, that provide nourishment during the development in the ovary. So they still remain clinging onto the ovum, even though they've played their part later on of providing nutrients when the ovum was still developing in the ovary. In addition, these cells, the follicle cells, provide protection to the ovum until fertilization has taken place.